Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about Target or TGT, and I'm going to give my views on this stock and where I think it could be headed over the next coming weeks and months. So this stock is actually tearing higher today on the back of some really great earnings, and I kind of want to give some targets and bigger picture where the stock might be headed. So I kind of wanted to start this video off by showcasing this wave count we have here and why I think potentially we might be coming into some short-term supply, but bigger picture I do think the stock can head significantly higher. So longer term, we've had this zigzag trend higher, and recently we've kind of completed a 5-wave cycle higher after breaking out from its range back here, which it's been stuck in for an extremely long time. The low end of that range being about 25 and the high end being about 85. So again, usually what you expect after a breakout of a range is a move to this 161.8% extension. That's most likely what you're going to get in most cases. There's usually a lot of supply there. In this case, we blew right past that level. When you have really long-term consolidation ranges like this, usually price compression does lead to further price expansion. So it's very possible you see the price push up to the 261.8% extension or potentially even the 423.6% extension. So as I said at the beginning, I do think shorter term we've completed this 5-wave cycle here. Usually chasing earnings isn't the best idea. Usually a pretty large gap is left, and usually that gap does end up getting filled often. There are times the stock just keeps roaring higher and kind of just leaves the gap behind and, just goes straight up. I do think it's totally possible the stock can continue to go higher here, but I would expect some short-term supply to come in. I think it's very possible that we do see a short-term ABC down. So where would I expect that ABC wave to kind of build out to? Well, you have this long-term 38.2% Fibonacci level right at about 114.16. I know that's pretty far down. I do think it's very possible we do go to this level. The longer-term zigzag trend kind of dictates that we do see an ABC wave down here. So I think it's very possible we do tag this 38.2% Fibonacci retracement since it's breakout, and that sits at right around 114 right now. So what I think is possible we could see shorter term, and I mean in the next coming week, we could easily see a short-term top being formed after these great earnings. Usually chasing, good earnings isn't the best idea. Often stocks will consolidate after and kind of build out a range before then breaking higher. And often stocks will run stops on both sides of the trades and over-exaggerate both ways after good or bad earnings. So if we do see an ABC wave down here, I do think it's totally possible the stock kind of builds out a bit of a bull flag to this long-term trend line you have here, and then we actually reverse off that level. I think there's a good chance we see something like this unfold. On a really short-term basis, since this breakout from 2018, you've actually had the stock come into its shorter-term 261.8% extension. The stock is above that level right now, but oftentimes on these long-term Fibonacci levels, you'll actually see a stock go above that level for a period of time, and then it actually falls back below, and then see significant supply come in. So I think that's definitely a possibility. I think this 261.8% extension is definitely a pretty big supply zone here. And filtering in the wave counts, I do think there's a very, very high chance we do get some sort of ABC wave down here. Again, kind of like I said, usually chasing after earnings isn't the smartest thing to do. Often you do get consolidation periods after. So the reason I think there's a good chance we also do fall below these highs here is that because if you're buying the stock here, you're going to have to put a place to put your risk against. In this case, you're probably putting your risk against these highs here, and if we fall below them, that would stop a lot of people out of the trade, where then we'd probably reverse higher after that point. So over the next few months, I actually do think the price does retrace back to this $120 level. I think there's a good chance we see that. There is some short-term supply here, and I think it could form a short-term top and give you kind of a level to short against. Again, you don't really want to short a name like this right now. Usually you want to wait for some form of topping candle, where then you can get in a set risk reward position and you can kind of short versus that level. Bigger picture where I think the stock could be potentially headed is actually to its 261.8% extension of its very long-term range, and that sits at pretty close to about 200 a share. I know it doesn't show on my chart because I can't zoom out, but it sits right at around 200 a share, and I do think it's very possible we do see price expansion over the next coming years to around $200 a share. I think there's a good chance we see that as well. And yeah, that's kind of my views on Target. I do think shorter term we get it kind of an ABC wave down, and that's based on the longer term trend that we've seen. And if we do kind of build out a bull flag here, I'd be looking to actually take a position when we undercut these highs, because that's kind of a psychological level that would stop a lot of people out, and usually that's where you'd get a reversal, is once everyone gets stopped out of the trade. I really wouldn't recommend chasing a stock up here. I think you can definitely get a better entry. Shorter term, we've come into some pretty significant extensions where usually there's some significant supply, so I do think it's definitely possible that we fall back below that 261.8% extension, and we actually see this bull flag get built out. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'd really appreciate it if you enjoyed the video, if you leave a like on the video and also subscribe.